Hey, Void, how are you? Maybe Rizzo talking to the Void because no one's listening, and, Christ movie, would you lighten up? Okay. So, last night I was, going through Shudder, and one thing I'm going to be doing on my Shudder trick is switching things up a little bit so I'm not completely just grinding through. I'll kind of be alternating between what's next in that grind queue and just Shudder things I want to see. So I thought maybe I'll pick one that I wanted to see and thought about doing a documentary, In Search of Darkness. Well, this was at about 2 a.m. and I saw In Search of Darkness is about 4 hours long. So I decided not to watch that movie right then. So rather than think about it and delay because it was already getting late, I just went to the next one in my Shudder queue, which was a movie I'd never heard of, called Threads. Now, this one is also about almost 2 hours long, but I thought, okay, fuck it, let's just put it on. And this was fucking bleak. Okay. As for story, I don't even know if I could really say there was too much of a story. It was mostly just depictions of misery. But, I mean, there were characters to a degree. But there wasn't really a plot. There was an event, and then just people dealing with it. It was tragedy happens, and aftermath. There wasn't an arc. There wasn't a resolution. It was just everything is terrible. Here's how it's gonna get worse. And fuck. Okay, so Threads depicts the town of Sheffield in England, and that is pretty much the event doesn't even happen until about almost an hour into the movie. The first 50 minutes are just getting to know a few small groups of characters, while tensions slowly rise, and mostly just hearing things in the background on news reports about tensions between the United States and Russia, and their presence in the Middle East, and how the tensions are escalating, and it is threatening nuclear war. And, well, then a nuclear blast happens in Sheffield, and as I guess, just in terms of the conflict, and now we have this small town is just dealing with the aftermath of that. And that's the rest of the movie. It's pretty much depicting the government in disarray, or the few people who are gone underground trying to. They can't get out. They're doomed, but they're still trying to run things. Food supplies are just gone, and everyone is now sick, burned, dying, or starving. And one of our main characters is pregnant. So, there's that. And it's pretty much watching people slowly die, and the situation slowly get worse, and people doing everything they can to survive, and being terrible to each other. Then we'll jump ahead a couple of years after one of our leads, whose husband, or fiance, who you think is going to be in the movie, who dies in the blast, so she's even just alone, raising her kid, and then it jumps again to the future to when her kid is much older and having their own child, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's pretty much like the nuclear winter sets in, and fuck. Well, this is a TV movie that was done by one of the BBC channels, I'm not sure which one, back in 1984. And apparently, when this thing aired, normally there's a... typically when one of these shows would air, they would get a lot of congratulatory calls from friends, family, but I guess the things were just silent because no one knew how to react to this, and it was just left people thinking. And apparently, when it aired in the US, even Reagan saw it, and some people wonder if this is what helped him de-escalate tensions during that period. This was a rough sit. I will say it was well put together, well acted, but fuck. So grading something like this is hard because it's a TV movie, but it's very well put together for one. I will say it's probably a little longer than it needs to be, but I think I'll give this one 7 MacGuffins just because what it's trying to do, it nails. And it is very effective in what it is, in being just this bleak, hopeless send up to the horrors of nuclear war. But it's worth seeing, but I would not recommend watching it more than once, and you gotta be prepared to be a little haunted by this thing. Heck, after this one, I pretty much just snuggle up next to my partner, so she would instinctively hug me in her sleep, because damn, I needed a hug after this one. Okay, so that's all for Threads. Well, I did actually start watching In Search of Darkness, but as before, that one's more than 4 hours, so it's gonna take me a little time to get through that. So I don't know when the review is gonna be coming for that one, but I will probably be watching another Shudder film tonight. This one I will probably be hand choosing if I can be decisive. Otherwise, I think one of the few coming up in my queue was Prom Night, and that's a classic, and I do enjoy that one. So we'll see. Okay, well, I think that's all for the moment. Threads. Be careful with this one. Okay.